The interesting thing about a game like Hollow Knight Silksong is that it has this unremarkable path to the stardom that it's gotten when it comes down to it. There are so many irregular things that have made this an anomaly when it comes to gaming, but I think that the biggest problem when you see something like this, there are people who think when it comes to the industry that since Hollow Knight Silksong is only $20 and since it's probably going to review really well and be a Game of the Year candidate and get all of this, now all of a sudden every single studio somehow has to adapt or somehow has to copy or somehow has to follow, or that this has completely changed something, when the path that the developers have taken with this is something that for the most part 99.9% of studios probably can't do and won't replicate that same amount of success. Now, once again, guys, I'm not here to bash Hollow Knight Silksong when it comes down to it. The fandom and all of that, I'm playing the game. I'm like 5-6 hours in. I'm enjoying it. It's been a blast so far. It's a fantastic title, and it'll probably end up in my top games of the year. But there are some people that seem to be going a little bit overboard when it comes down to it. So we're going to talk about that and a bit more. Now, on Zelda Dungeon's Twitter page, shout out to Zelda Dungeon. They've been around for a long time. But I do think that talk like this, especially from people who have been around for a hot minute, is a little bit dangerous, and it creates unrealistic expectations for other indie developers and just developers in general and people that are working in the industry that need to get a livable wage or need to actually make enough money to sustain themselves. So here was the tweet, and there was a lot of people that were agreeing, a lot of people that were disagreeing, but I wanted to throw it to you guys to see what you guys think on this one. So Zelda Dungeon said on Twitter, "Game of the year right here. Silksong being only $20 should be a huge wake-up call for the entire gaming industry." So that type of blanket statement, that type of statement to where it's just a huge wake-up call, not explaining how, not explaining why, not going into anything, but because they like the game and because it's $20, then all of a sudden it's going to revolutionize or it's going to completely change things. So I responded to that by saying, what's the wake-up call? Announce a game 7 years before it launches, give next to no updates, then drop it for $20. Something tells me that's not going to work for studios that have more than 4 employees. And this is not to bash Zelda Dungeon or anybody who feels that Hollow Knight Silksong is an incredible experience and it's fairly priced. I agree with all of that. It definitely is. But this is not something that other indie developers or other people can do. If you're making a big 3D game, for example, the people that worked on Hollow Knight, for the most part, there's like 3-4 people. They had some outside contracted work, but for the most part, it's like a small group. It's a small, 3 or 4 person team that are working on this game. If you're working on a big 3D game that people want to play, like let's just say Baldur's Gate 3 or The Witcher 3, or even a game like Astrobot, you can't have a team of 3 to 4 people. You can't take 7 years in between without saying anything when it comes to the fans, and you can't only charge $20, or the people that are actually making that game definitely will not be able to fund themselves throughout the whole thing. Now, the cool thing about Hollow Knight Silksong is that they were able to take that time because Hollow Knight, the original game, kept on selling. It sold around 3 million or so in the first number of years. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it exploded when it comes to Silksong taking so long in between that time. So they sold multiple millions more copies of Hollow Knight, like 10 million more copies in the time frame for the wait between Hollow Knight and Hollow Knight Silksong. So most developers, especially independent developers, aren't going to be able to match that at all, not even get close. Most games don't even get close to selling 15 million copies. So yeah, sure, if you're making a 2D game and if you have a huge fan base of people that are buying your game, yeah, you can take 7 years or 8 years to make the next one and not say anything. But for most developers, that's not going to be a strategy that works. You're going to find yourself running out of fans or no fans at all, and you're going to find yourself running out of money and not able to actually pay your staff to make the game. And once again, if you're making a big 3D game, like if you're making Zelda, for example, or if you're making Super Mario, a big 3D Mario game and all that, you're going to need more than 3 or 4 people, and you definitely can't charge only $20 for that, considering if you have a staff of 100 or 200 or 300 people, they're going to need, once again, a good wage as a developer. So I did see quite a number of people saying that, oh, it's all bloated, there's too many people there, and all of that. But once again, even if you have a staff of, like, let's just say 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or even just 100 people or 200 people, you're still going to have to do a bit more than $20, especially if the company is publicly funded, because obviously shareholders, obviously management, obviously all those other things like that. It's capitalistic at the end of the day. So these are the type of things that I see online sometimes, and I'm wondering if people actually understand the game development and understand the industry. Listen, Hollow Knight is incredible. It's great. I love it. It's very good. And I love the fact that it's $20, that it's affordable for people out there. I love the fact of what they've done with the game. But I don't want every single game to turn into a 2 to 3 man developed thing that takes 7 to 8 years and dropping at $20. Like, we still need 3D games. We still need other types of titles. And I think that people don't understand how much it takes to develop a game, how much effort and time and energy and how many people you need, even if you want to cut the budget, even if you want to not have as many people there, not have bloat. To make a good 3D game, you're still going to need somewhat of a team, especially AAA. People still want stuff like Witcher. People still want stuff like Baldur's Gate. People still want stuff like Zelda. They want things that are not, hand-drawn or 2D type of stuff. You're not going to be able to do or replicate what Hollow Knight or what Team Cherry was able to do. So I think that tweets like this and posts like this just kind of lose the plot a little bit overall when it comes down to it. And most developers are going to have to send out review codes, are going to have to give their fans updates, are going to have to make games in a little bit more of an efficient time period and all that. Most developers are going to have to do that because it won't work for them. And if you try to copy what Team Cherry did, you're probably going to end up not with a job overall. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to the post and what people are doing with Hollow Knight Silksong? Let me know in the comment section below. But before we get into the next topic, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and if you see that hype button on there on your player, go ahead and hit that hype button while you're at it. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into the next thing here. Let's talk about what Switchforce had to say about the mysterious upcoming direct and the 3 mysterious 7 games clue that he put out there. Now, for those that missed it, YouTuber Switchforce put out a video the other day talking about the upcoming Nintendo Direct and saying that there are going to be 3 titles with the number 7 in it. And he's been scanning the internet, he's been scanning Twitter to see if anybody has been able to actually guess it. And he stated that nope, nobody's got it at all. Now, the thing about it is that I put up my own prediction. I said it's going to be Final Fantasy VII Remake, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and Ace Attorney 7. And Necrofleep put out that same prediction, and Switchforce responded by saying, nope, that's not it either. So nobody's been able to get it overall. So I'm guessing that it's not going to be Ace Attorney. That's what I thought. And then Switchforce actually came out and said that Ace Attorney 7 will not be in there. So it's not that. So maybe it's Resident Evil 7. I'm not sure what 7 it's going to be at this point, but that would be too easy. I'm pretty sure somebody else has also guessed Resident Evil 7, and Switchforce saw that, and it wasn't that. So I don't know the combination of what games it's going to be. Now that we know it's not Ace Attorney 7, maybe it's Resident Evil 7 and some other type of 7. I think that Final Fantasy 7 Remake Integrate is confirmed. That would be it. But maybe it's not Call of Duty Black Ops. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's not that. So I don't know what it is at this point. I'm actually stumped, and I'm excited to see exactly what this is going to be. Now, the upcoming Direct is supposedly taking place sometime on Thursday or Friday this upcoming week here, so we'll see what Nintendo decides to do with this one. But I'm looking forward, once again, I'm looking forward to this Nintendo Direct. I think it's going to be a solid one. There's going to be some good third-party announcements. There's going to be some release date announcements, and there's going to be some probably shadow drops here and there for a game or two, and I think that we're going to get our first look at the big next Nintendo Switch 2 first-party game for the One More Thing. Then, of course, the couple set showpiece games at the beginning, the middle, and the end as well. So I think it's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to it, and I cannot wait to see what this mysterious 3 7s are once we're watching the Nintendo Direct. And of course, I will be live reacting to everything when we do have the rumored Nintendo Direct. But once again, it does seem like it's happening because Nate the Hate, VGC, and of course Switchforce have all stated it's happening. So that's a lot of credible sources right there. So what do you guys think about this? What are your mysterious games with 7 in the title that could show up at this upcoming Nintendo Direct? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, moving on to 007 First Light. We got a release date set for March 27, 2026. And I didn't talk about this yet, so I wanted to talk just briefly about it, show you guys some of the gameplay that kind of came up, because there was some controversy with this game. And of course there was. It's the internet. So over here, here's what they had to say about 007 First Light. They stated that they're building a wholly original James Bond experience from the ground up, one that blends the sharp tension of espionage with the bold spectacle the franchise is known for, said IO Interactive CEO Hakan Abrak in a press release. The gameplay is rooted in our signature approach to immersive design, combining stealth, action, and creativity in a way that feels uniquely tailored to Bond. Now, we also have some more information, some key features. It says become 007, discover a new standalone reimagined James Bond origin story, and the events that lead in the audacious young hero to become the best MI6 agent. A thrilling espionage adventure, embark on missions in breathtaking locations, drive iconic vehicles, and dive into a cinematic adventure in pursuit of a rogue agent who's always one step ahead. Spying your way. Go silent or go loud. Whether fighting with your fists or firepower, using gadgets or infiltrate, or bluffing your way past guards, the approach is entirely up to you. Welcome to MI6. Test your skills and replay your favorite missions with additional modifiers for endless espionage fun. And I actually like that they're doing that, because that was one of the things that the original 007 GoldenEye was so famous for, going back through, doing like the achievements, getting the modifiers and playing with different types of ways, or unlimited ammo, or golden gun, or whatever the case was. So that was pretty cool to kind of see that back then, and I'm glad that they're actually bringing it back and remixing it here for this game. Now, some of the controversy was because one area that they showed off just showed a bunch of explosive like barrels all over the place, and explosive tanks and all that, and it just seemed ridiculous that that would even be there in the first place. But also some of the frame rate was slowing down when there was like a lot of explosions and stuff going on. But I'm not really too worried about that when it comes to like the technical performance, because the game is still 6 months plus away at this point, and whatever they showed us was probably even older than that. So to me, that's probably older footage. Of course, once the game comes out, it'll be like the latest build and everything that they did going forward, even past when the game goes gold, when it's ready to go off to print for the physical copies of the game. They're still working on updates, and we'll probably have like a day one patch. So I'm not really too worried about that right now, although some people were saying it's controversial because of that. And of course, it looks like it's just Uncharted, but there's going to be other areas that aren't that. There's going to be more stealth areas. There's going to be other things where you use your gadgets and all that, which they did show in the original first trailer of the game. So overall, I think it looks solid. I think that this is going to be a good game, and I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since we've had a real 007 game kind of come through, and having an origin story is pretty dope. Now, another thing that I want to mention is that the special edition does come with a, of course, fake golden gun, like replica type like poster thingy. So it's actually kind of cool. It's like a figurine, golden gun figurine, they say overall. It's also been confirmed for a game key card on the Nintendo Switch 2. So if you were looking for like an actual physical cartridge, yeah, that's not going to happen for this game. But I do think that the game file size might be pretty large, but we'll see on that. But for those who don't know, I played a lot of 007 back in the day, man. I was a big fan of 007 GoldenEye, and then also Perfect Dark, and then 007 Nightfire on the GameCube. So I have a history with 007, and I'm looking forward to checking out the game. So what do you guys think overall with this update here from 007 First Light, March 27th, 2026? Let me know in the comment section below. And for the final topic here, we're going to discuss some AI upscaling and the upscaling wars that are going on. I saw this post on Twitter that a mutual of mine put up, and it was kind of like, of course, like a comparison between PSSR 1.0 versus DLSS 3.1. And I'm not even sure if that's the version of DLSS that Nintendo Switch 2 uses. And it's not about the console war thing. What I think is remarkable is the fact that Nintendo actually has a system that can output similar to what's happening on more powerful systems. So this post that was put up on Twitter says, First example of console AI upscaling on the same game, PSSR 1.0 versus DLSS 3.1. Easy PSSR win, not even remotely close. And once again, I don't know if that's even the case or anything. This person definitely is not Digital Foundry or anything. But what I wanted to talk about is not the comparison in terms of that, because I don't know from a technical perspective which one is better. Like, you'd have to go to Digital Foundry and let them talk about it overall. But the port of Star Wars Outlaws, when it comes down to it, and that's the game that we're discussing here, the fact that it's even being compared and it's not like, oh my gosh, clearly that it looks way better on PlayStation, like it's not clear in one thing or another, or that it's even being compared to the point to where you're trying to kind of micro analyze which one. I think that's the remarkable thing about the Nintendo Switch 2. That's the remarkable thing about DLSS and what they've been able to build. One of the things that Digital Foundry pointed out in their video when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws was the fact that there was a lot of games before with the Nintendo Switch 1 where you had essentially whole different types of games being built. One of the examples that they used was Hogwarts Legacy, where it looked significantly different from the Xbox and PlayStation versions. But with the Nintendo Switch 2, that's not the case. You have, one, the law of diminishing returns. That's also into play here. But two, just a significantly stronger system with considerably better tech that has shortened the gap. There's still some distance there, but it's nowhere near as big as it was with PS4 to Nintendo Switch 1, or from PS5, obviously, to the Nintendo Switch 1. The gap has been closed considerably here, especially with these new techniques that they're doing. The Star Wars Outlaws port has completely confirmed that. So I think that's the cool thing with this generation. Now, once again, I have all the platforms. I have a PS5 Pro, I have an Xbox Series X, I have PC, I have Nintendo Switch 2, and it's all great. People can play on whatever they want. I'm not here to console war with these people 24/7 and all of that. People can just play what they want. But I think that it's cool on a hybrid platform for $450 that you can get this type of performance when it comes down to it, using every single trick, bell, and whistle that Nintendo's been able to formulate with NVIDIA. And I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws, and it's a fantastic game. I think that it's a solid 7 or 8 out of 10-ish type of game. It's got all the updates, all the DLC, everything all packed into there. And if you want an open world Star Wars game, I mean, this is it to play. So what do you guys think overall about everything that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.